Now, after this, we have also seen the Buddhist council, right? The major four Buddhist council, which was the fourth council, after which we saw the emergence of the Mahayana Buddhism. Okay, the Hinayana was being followed up till the first Buddhist council or before the first Buddhist council, and we'll see the emergence or the evolution of the Mahayana Buddhism right from the first up till the fourth, but it was being implemented majorly after the fourth Buddhist council. Okay, so here in the similar way we'll also have the Jain councils, so as the ideas and the theories would be preached of the Jainist philosophy. Okay, so the first Jain council took place during the 3rd century, as evident in the Pataliputra only, that is in the Magad Empire only. Okay, and it was during the Sthulabhadra. Now the Sthulabhadra was the Shwetambar. Okay, now after that the second Jain council was carried on in 512 AD in the Vallabhi city. Okay, and it was being arranged during the Devardhi. Okay, and here the final compilation of the Angas was done. Now what are the Angas? Angas are the literary sources which tells us about the Jain literature or the Jain religion. Okay, so these are known as the Angas, or they are also known as the Agams. Okay, so let us see what are the Angas. Okay, now if you see the Agam literature or the Anga literature. Okay, now this Anga literature is being divided into two major literature. The first is Anga Agama and the second is Anga Bahya Agama. So Anga Agama means internal and the Anga Bahya means the external. So Anga Agama was being written by one of the disciple of the Jain, and who was known as the Ganadharas. Okay, Ganadharas. Okay, and the Anga Bahya Agams were being written by the Shruti Kevalin, okay, who was also one of the disciple of Jain. Okay, so you will see that the Agam literature are majorly written by the disciples and not by the Tirthankaras. Okay, so if you visit the PYQs or the previous year's questions, okay, in 2024 the question was being asked that the Agam literature was being written by the Tirthankaras or by the Buddhas or by the disciple of the Jainas. Okay, so here these are the disciple of Tirthankaras who have written the Agam literature. Okay, so please note the keywords. Anga Agam means the situation of the internal Jainism. Okay, and the Anga Bahya Agams means the situation out of the Jainism. Okay, how Jainism flourished, in which states it flourished. Okay, so you will find that at the end of the life of Chandragupta Maurya, okay, he would be converting himself into the Jainism. Okay, and he was the one who went in the southern region, okay, to explore or to preach this Jainism during his retirement age. Okay, so this is one of the case study or the example which you can reciprocate in your answers. Okay, now beyond that, as we have studied the Buddhism and now we have also done with the Jainism. So what was the major three differences between the Jainism and the Buddhism? Now if you look very clearly into the Four Noble Truths and the Eightfold Path of the Buddhism, you will see that the Buddhism will not be believing in the existence of the God. Okay, why? Because during Hinayana we'll find that no image or the idols were being worshipped. Okay, and it were only the ideas and the principles or the thoughts through which they carried their livelihood. Okay, so here Buddhism would not be focusing upon the existence of the God. On another hand, the Jainism would be focusing upon the existence of the God. In fact, it would be silent on the Brahmanical dominance. This is the second trick to analyze the difference between both. If it is silent on the Varna system, if it is silent on the Brahmanical dominance, if it is silent on the God existence, or especially it supported the existence of the God, that is, it supported the existence of the Varna system, which was led by the Brahmin sect or the Brahmins clan. okay, system. Okay, so here this was the first major evident differences between the Jainism and the Buddhism. After that, the Buddhism condemned the Varna system. Why? Because they were already frustrated by the dominance of the Brahmins, okay, or the Kshatriyas. Okay, so they will condemn the Varna system, where the Shudras were not allowed to enter the temples, okay, where the Shudras were not allowed to read the religious texts. Okay, so they would be condemning the Varna system. On another hand, if we see the Jainism, okay, the Jainism would not be explicitly condemning the Varna system, because they would be staying silent. Why? Because yahan pe you would be finding some of the competition between the two. Okay, like although the Jainism was the later evolution, but you will see that the Jainism flourished more betterly in Indian subcontinent than the Buddhism. Why? Because in Jainism the women were also completely allowed, although in Buddhism also they were allowed, but here in the Jainism both of the freedoms were the given, the attachment with the family and the non-attachment with the family also. But in Buddhism it was completely different. Okay, and some of the rituals, some of the rules were very much similar to the Hinduism, like for example having the brahmacharya, okay, for the particular period of time or for particular lives. Okay, so these were nearly parallel to the Hinduism. Okay, and the third is it did not believe in the transmigration of the soul. That is, there is no birth. Whatever we want to live, we would be living in this lives only, and we have to do each and every activity in this life. On another hand, the Jainism believed in the transmigration of the soul. That is, there is birth after the death and there is death after the birth. Okay, so they believed in the transmigration of the soul. The Jainism believed in the transmigration of the soul. So that is why if the question comes whether the Jainism believed in the rebirth, so yes, Jainism believed in the rebirth. On another hand, Buddhism didn't believe in the rebirth. Okay, so Jainism believed that there is a life after the death, and Buddhism didn't believe the life after the death. It's that simple. Okay, so please encapsulate all the differences, major differences between the Jainism and the Buddhism. Please do not mix it. Now if we'll revise it again, you will get each and every idea in a very thoughtful way. Okay, so like there are 24 Tirthankaras, and not only the single guide who would be guiding for the future generations. Okay, now they followed the 3 sutras or the 3 ratnas: right faith, right knowledge and right conduct. After that there were Pancha Maha Vratas. Okay, Vrat means taking a oath. Okay, so 5 oaths have to be taken by the Jain people: Ahimsa, Satya, Asatya, Aparigraha and Brahmacharya. Some took only 4 vows, especially the Shvetambars took only first 4 vows, excluding the Brahmacharya, that is, they dwelled in the family environment. Okay, and the Digambars would be following all the 5 vows of the Mahavira. Okay, and the 2 kinds of views are being presented in the Jaina: Anekantavada and the Syadvada. Okay, we have also seen the differences of Anekantavada and the Syadvada, where they are differ to. Again, there are 2 types of sects in the Jainism: Digambar and Shwetambar. We have also seen what were the rules for the Digambar and Shwetambar, and what was the reason that these sects were formed into 2. Okay, we have seen the Bengal famine condition and how they migrated towards the Karnataka region, and when they came again back to the Magadh region, they found that our ancestors have totally changed. Okay, so from there we divided the Jainism into the 2 sects, that is Digambar and the Shwetambar. Okay, so Digambar have their own Sangha and the Panth, and the Shwetambar have their own. So therefore Shwetambar followed the 4 vows except Brahmacharya, and they wore white clothes. Okay, now after that we also have seen the Jain Council, the first and the second Jain Council, which was happened during the 3rd century and during the 512 AD in Vallabhi. Okay, and we have also seen about the literature. Now when we need to talk about the art and architecture, of Okay, now let's talk about art and architecture. Okay, so when we talk about the art and architecture, we must know that the Digambars were the one who used to follow the strict rules of the Jainism. So here you will see that the Digambars would be traveling all over the Indian subcontinent, and that is why they will need some place to reside in these regions wherever they are traveling. Okay, so here you will find that the caves are main residing region where they will reside. Okay, whenever they will preach their religion all over the country or all over the Indian subcontinent, they would be living in the caves. Okay, now the example of the caves are the Ellora caves. Okay, Ellora caves with respect to the cave number 35 and 36. Why am I giving specifically? Because specifically it is being asked by the UPSC examination. Okay, after that the caves of Maharashtra, that is Mangitungi caves and Gajapati caves. Okay, Mangitungi caves, Mangitungi caves and Gajapati caves. It is GAJA, Gajapati caves. Okay, now all of this are in Maharashtra. Okay, now the second kind of architecture are the statues. Okay, the statue of Bahubali. Okay, the second kind of architecture is statue. Now the statue of Bahubali, which is in Karnataka, and the statue of Ahimsa, statue of Ahimsa, especially of Rishabhnath, one of the Tirthankara. Okay, Rishabhnath. Okay, now this is in Bangalore or Karnataka, KT, and this is in Maharashtra. Okay, and the third kind of architecture or the art is of Jinalaya. Okay, now the temples during in the Jainism were called as Jinalaya. Jinalaya. What is meant by Jina? Jina means their lord. Okay, Jinalaya, and where the lord sits means Laya. Jinalaya. It is temple. In the simple words to put, it is a temple. So where are these Jinalayas? If you see the Dilwara temple in the Rajasthan, if you have visited Dilwara temple of Rajasthan, okay, of Rajasthan. The second is Girnar temple of Gujarat. Okay, so Jinalayas, statues and the caves are some of the art and architecture during the that are related to the Jainism. Okay, so this is what we need to take into access regarding our Jainism and the Buddhism. So I hope you visit this lecture again and revise it very efficiently. Okay, thank you.